Hey, how you doing? We're on a bit of a roll with videos at the moment, aren't we? Today, we're going to talk about Jiu Jitsu, and we're going to talk about what the very founding principle, the most important thing in your Jiu Jitsu practice is. But we're not going to take my word for it. We're going to take the word of Sadakazu Uyenishi, one of the first ever Japanese Jiu Jitsu instructors to come to the UK and teach the art of Jiu Jitsu. And this is his book. The flavour of Jiu Jitsu in this book is quite different from what you would expect to see today if you went to a Jiu Jitsu class. It's quite aggressive. There's a huge crossover between Judo and Jiu Jitsu. The two both existed, but they were generally considered to be different aspects of the same thing. So what we have here is effectively the forerunner of modern Judo, the forerunner of modern Jiu Jitsu, and by default, the forerunner of a lot of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So what I thought we'd do is we'd have a look at one of the early bits in this book, and I'll just read to you what Uyenishi himself said is the most important, the most fundamental thing that you need in order to be good at Jiu Jitsu. Nearly everyone, I suppose, has some knowledge of balance, or at least they know what the word means, but I think I may safely say that very few, if any, have given even a passing thought to it as applied to their own bodies. I may therefore be pardoned for starting right at the beginning. It's probably a smart move, to be honest. The human body, as everyone knows, is, or should be, carried erect on two legs, and the reason for this must be apparent to anyone who will ask himself the question why. The reason is simply because, in the first place, it is better balanced, and secondly, because the balance is more easily maintained in the erect position. Walking consists of leaning forward or losing the balance in a forward direction, when a leg is brought forward to catch the balance again. In walking backwards, we have the same process reversed. Now, suppose a man starts to walk backwards and tries to step out to the front after losing his balance, no matter how slightly in the backward direction. We find that unless a leg is quickly brought back to help him regain his equilibrium, he falls, no matter how strong he may be. And it is on this simple scientific fact that the whole fabric of Jiu Jitsu is based, as far as what may be called the standing part is concerned. I think that's probably an important point to mention here, is that this was supposed to be the first book of several, and this looks at the standing art of Jiu Jitsu, a few throws, a few holds, and the groundwork was going to come in a second book. I don't think that ever got written, but let's get back to it. And I may say right here that it is the quick and agile man who will have the ability to regain balance more easily after having once lost it, and not the strong man. For strength, pure and simple, can in no way be brought forward as a factor in balance. Knowledge of balance and how to disturb it is the mystery which enables the Jiu Jitsu man so easily to throw stronger and heavier opponents without any great effort or without using strength, in the common acceptation of the term. For the information of those who may think that great strength is necessary or even an advantage, I should like to remind them, as many perhaps are not prone to reason things out for themselves, burn, that if you are weighing even tons of material on a scale or balance, a single ounce or the lightest touch of a single finger will move the beam down at a certain point of balance. In the same way, if the human body is at a certain point of balance, the least little pull or push will disturb that balance, and a fall becomes inevitable unless support is adjusted at or before the critical moment. There must, of course, be a moment after which it becomes physically impossible to readjust the lost balance, or in other words, to save the fall. It will be evident, even to those who may be most sceptical at first, that no amount of strength exerted after that point has been reached will be of the least avail, so that it is after all only a matter of common sense to say that on a point of actual balance, strong and weak are on a par. This will become most apparent in actual practice to the novice when he is first successful in making, say, a clean ankle throw, For a moment, he will scarcely realise that he's made the throw, and will feel rather that his adversary fell on purpose. But after a few more successes, he will understand that if the correct or psychological moment has been utilised, the amount of exertion which he has actually used has been so trifling that it could scarcely be definable as strength is generally understood. However, the student must not misunderstand me on this point and think that he need put little, if any, force into his pulls. These must be definite and sharp and executed at the precise psychological moment as described hereafter in the pages dealing with the various throws. He goes on to talk about it quite a lot. I won't read the whole thing to you, but I think it's a really important thing to remember that in any form of grappling art, and I've practiced several over the years, I've practiced traditional Jiu Jitsu, I've practiced Aikido, I've practiced Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and I've practiced a variety of different forms of wrestling, and this is true in absolutely all of them. They all have different ways of capturing and controlling your opponent's balance. And this is a concept that I've taught in my own practice, and I still work with today. I'm spending a lot of time looking at sweeps from guard at the moment, and it's all about securing that base and moving the centre of gravity over the base so that you effectively create that balance point and tip your opponent over it. This was written a long time ago. Some things don't change. But I think it's a wonderful, wonderful little book, and I think he puts it very nicely in a kind of form of language that's very easy to understand. Now, I believe that Uyenishi himself was quite fluent in English, but I'm also pretty certain that he had the help of some of his English students who studied with him pretty much full time in writing this book. So if there's a similarity in language there between books by people like Percy Longhurst and Uyenishi, that's probably why. But even so, that kind of late 19th, early 20th century language is just a thing of beauty, especially when it describes a concept so beautifully. So, yeah, what do you think? Is balance the most fundamental, the most important part? Are you willing to argue against Uyenishi? Or do you agree? Is balance the thing? If you're able to control both your and your opponent's balance, can you be beaten? I don't know. Stick something in the comments. Let me know. And, yeah, let's see if we can keep this run of videos up. Fight team!